What's going on, drivers? Welcome to Trucking with Old Snapper. And you got your boy, Old Snapper here. In this video, I'm cruising across 84, headed towards Portland, or westbound, as some of you drivers out there know. Coming up on the Columbia Gorge, or going through the Columbia Gorge. I'm not sure exactly where that technical term starts, but I'm in that area. Really beautiful area, really nice area to drive through. Anyhow, we're going to talk about empty threats from trucking companies. Now, I've heard a few over the years, and it's something I want to get into, because the newer drivers are more prone to fall for them than a veteran, an experienced driver, just because we know better. We know that's not the case. That's not how that works. But some of the newer drivers out there don't. And if I miss some of the empty threats, if you've heard an empty threat that I don't mention in this video, something a trucking company will tell a driver to either get what they want out of them or to try to make them stay, or whatever the case may be, drop down in the comments and put it in there. That way, when new drivers run across this video, they can read your comment, they'll get educated on the topic, and maybe it'll help them along in their career so they don't encounter or know how to deal with some of this BS we deal with out here. Now, one of the big ones that comes along in driving is preventable and non-preventable accident. Now, I've never personally encountered this, but I have heard of other people telling their story, and they've encountered this. But let's say I'm going down the road right here, and something flew out of the back of that truck that just went past me, and it hits the front of my truck. Well, that's a non-preventable accident. Something laying in the road, non-preventable accident. Now, if that truck came over and stopped in front of me and then I rear-end him, that's a preventable accident. Well, there are cases where sometimes companies will report a preventable accident that was non-preventable. That's why it's very important that you as a driver keep all the information. If you ever have an accident of any kind, no matter what it is, no matter how minute it is, take pictures and save it. I keep pictures from any incident that happens on my truck. I save it for a very long time. That way, if I encounter that scenario where a company says, oh no, he had a preventable accident, this date, this is what happened. No, you don't. I have the police report. I have the pictures. I have the dash cam footage. I have all that to prove exactly what it was. All right. So that's one of them empty threats that some trucking companies use. Always be aware of it. Another empty threat that trucking companies will use is, and they use this on new drivers. Let's say you go to Stevens Transport and you go through their school. Now, I'm not saying that Stevens Transport does this. I'm just saying that let's just use this as a scenario. You go through Stevens Transport school, you get your CDL, you go to work for them. 3 months down the road, you decide, nah, I don't like it. I'm going to go to work for somebody else. And then your dispatcher or safety or whoever you're talking to on the phone when you tell them you're leaving says, you can't leave. You're under contract. If you leave, we're going to take your CDL. Now, I have actually heard of companies telling drivers this. No, a company cannot take your CDL. Your CDL is issued through the state. Even though the company may have put you through the school and taught you how to drive a truck, they are not the state. They cannot take your CDL. They cannot suspend your CDL. Even if you owe money on the loan, they can put the loan on your credit, but they cannot touch your CDL. That's BS. Don't even worry about it. It's an empty threat. Don't even stress over it. Another empty threat that you'll hear from a lot of trucking companies out here is this truck abandonment. We'll put a truck abandonment on your DAC. Okay. Now, a truck abandonment is a very serious issue. And if you do abandon a truck, then it's going to be very difficult for you to find another trucking job. But there is technically what a truck abandonment is and what it isn't. I'm parked in Portland, Oregon right now. If I decide I quit, I'm leaving E.W. Wiley. I empty my truck out. I have somebody come pick me up and I leave this truck in a truck stop. I abandoned that equipment. I'm under a load. They could say I abandoned the equipment and the load. And technically, they would be correct. Let's say I decide I don't want to work for Wiley no more. And I call Wiley and I tell them, get me routed up there to Fargo. I'm going to turn the truck in, trailer in. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. In Fargo, let's say they tell me, oh, well, you're not giving a 2-week notice. That's a truck abandonment, we're going to put a truck abandonment on your record. False. You cannot do that. That would that would never hold up. If the equipment is on your property, at your terminal, at your approved location, and I leave it and I'm not under a load and I tell you I'm leaving, I'm quitting, I am terminating my employment with you. The truck's on your property. It's inside your gate at your location that you require it to be returned to. That is not a truck abandonment. Just because you didn't give a 2-week notice is not a truck abandonment. But some companies will use that as a tool to try to control you, or it's a numbers game. They got a certain amount of people coming into orientation, and they'll do that to try to keep you from leaving before they can replace you. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy crap, right? And I always find that one odd, because if a company's going to fire you, they're not going to give you a 2-week notice of firing you, but they expect a 2-week notice of you leaving. They're not going to give you a 2-week notice that they're going to lay you off, but they expect a 2-week notice of you leaving. But anyhow, that's neither here nor there. If you don't give a 2-week notice and a company tells you that they're going to put a truck abandonment on your record, that's BS. Don't even worry about it. Now make sure that you document it. What I always do is I video record, and I try to use different things to timestamp it. Look, this truck is at this location. It's at their property, on their property, inside their fence. It's being returned to them the proper way. I'm going through all the motions of turning this truck and all the equipment in. There's no way they can ever put a truck abandonment on you. No way. Now, let's say a company did try that. Is there anything you as a driver can do? Sure there is. You can contact HireRight and you can dispute improper or misinformation, whatever you want to call it, on your reports. And I encourage you to pull your reports every now and then. Look at the information that's on them. If there's false information on there, you can dispute it. They have to prove it. The company that put it on there has to prove it. Now, obviously, if you got a DOT preventable, you rear-ended somebody or whatever, that there's police report, they can't, you're never gonna get that off of there, right? But let's say they accuse you of abandoning a truck. You send in your proof that it wasn't abandoned. Company has to prove that you did. Where is the tow report where y'all had it towed? We need something. If the company can't prove it, then it comes off your record, period, point blank. Now, there are some companies out here that are known for putting truck abandonments on people's DAC reports, on their reports with HireRight. And among the drivers, it becomes known, and your experienced drivers won't go to those companies. Once they get a reputation for doing that or a reputation for threatening it, drivers won't go there. We steer clear of those companies that do that. But there are companies out here that do that. Now, they'll get drivers that just don't know, go to work there, or they'll get drivers that can't go to work anywhere else, so they go to work there. But trust me, that type of stuff, it goes through it gets around. We hear about it. I often wonder if these companies realize we all talk. Like, we all communicate with each other. I might talk to 3 or 4 drivers at a company. They talk to 3 or 4 other people. And, over time, anything that happens or that's going on, it's going to spread throughout the fleet. We all hear about it. And if a company's got shady things going on or doing shady things, it'll all get back. And if it finds their way out, a lot of us have YouTube channels and Facebook pages and stuff like that, and that information gets out there eventually. So it's really bad for business to do those sorts of things to drivers or treat drivers in those kinds of ways. But anyhow, I'm going to be putting up the information here, where to go if you want to check your reports, or if you want to dispute something on your report. I'm going to give you the information here as to where to go and how to do that. Like I said in the beginning of this video, if you know of some BS that trucking companies will pull, try to tell drivers, drop it down in the comments. Let these other drivers out there know. I appreciate all of y'all. Y'all take care, stay safe, and keep trucking.